Welcome to Monarchy Marathon. In this video, I'll be comparing the 3 TV and movie options we have for the reign of Charles I of England and Oliver Cromwell. As usual, starting with the basics. Cromwell is a British film, came out in 1970, was 2 hours and 19 minutes long, rated G. To Kill a King is a 2003 film, was 1 hour and 42 minutes long, rated 13+. The Devil's Mistress, or that was what they called it in North America, was a television series that came out in 2008, was 2 episodes, each about an hour and a half each, also rated 13+. Cromwell. The movie begins when Charles I has already been king for a while and there is unrest in the country. The English Civil War has not yet begun. It ends with Cromwell figuratively, or literally, on the throne. Script. The script predominantly follows Cromwell in his endeavor for Parliament to no longer be beholden to the king. King Charles gets a lot of screen time as well. We follow both men's point of view through the English Civil War until the ultimate historical conclusion. In my opinion, one of the great things about this script, different from the others, is that neither man is really portrayed as the bad guy. Neither of them come off as power-hungry. Instead, both do what they think is right and love their country. So we get to see 2 very different and interesting perspectives. Acting. The acting in this was superb. Cromwell was played by Richard Harris, who was fantastic. But the standout performance for me was my favorite portrayal of King Charles I by Alec Guinness. Production design and costuming. They just don't make movies like this anymore. The cinematography was beautiful. I adored all the wide shots of the sets, both inside and out. It even won an Academy Award for Best Costume Design. There were many times I had to put down my crochet project and just stare at the pretty. Sex and nudity, violence and gore. Many scenes on the battlefield of the English Civil War and showing war strategy. A lot of time must have gone into the choreography of this, since almost all of it is filmed in wide shots with seemingly hundreds of soldiers fighting at once, and this is before CG. It was very impressive. There are very few close-up shots, so it never feels too violent. There is no sex or nudity. Next, we're looking at To Kill a King. This takes place at the end of the English Civil War, when King Charles is already defeated and imprisoned. It ends with the death of Oliver Cromwell. Script. Here we have a very different story. It follows mostly Thomas Fairfax, who was a minor character in the 1970 movie. In this, he's the best friend of Oliver Cromwell. The story revolves around their friendship, watching Cromwell's rise to power and tyranny through Fairfax's eyes. In this version, we see a much more bloodthirsty and less charismatic Cromwell, though no less idealistic. King Charles I has a minor role and is much less sympathetic, though we still see enough of him to get an idea of his character and views. I think the script would have benefited from being a bit longer to better understand the lead up to the main plot, but overall was a well-told story. Acting. I thought the 2 lead actors, Oliver Cromwell, played by Tim Roth, and Thomas Fairfax, played by Dougray Scott, were both very good individually in their roles. However, since one of the main points of this movie was to show 2 friends torn apart by politics and ideals, I would have liked to see a bit more chemistry between the 2. Rupert Everett was a wonderful King Charles I. I honestly believed that he believed with all his heart that God had chosen him to be king. I wish he'd had more screen time. Production design and costuming. The visuals were nicely done. It seemed to be very realistic. I can't say anything stood out to me, but it didn't take away from the film either. Sex and nudity, violence and gore. Another main character of this movie is Thomas's wife, Anne. I liked her character overall, and she played an important role in how she influences Thomas, but she's also used very specifically in order to have some sex and nudity in the movie. Nothing too graphic, but it seemed a little unnecessary. There is definitely gore in this, in the way of dead bodies, injured soldiers, people hanging, and general violence. But nothing so graphic it made me wince and look away. No battle scenes. Next up, The Devil's Mistress. 2 different versions of this were released. I only had access to the North American version, so my review is based on that. This starts right before the English Civil War begins and ends with Cromwell's death. Script. This is a very different script from our other two options in that we are following a fictional character, Angelica, along with a soldier, Edward Sexby. Through these two perspectives, we watch the English Civil War and the aftermath. At the beginning, Angelica is a lady in Charles I's court, and then through a series of events is called the Devil's Mistress. Except they use the other word that I probably shouldn't say here. Side note, Angelica sees the devil every so often. King Charles has an even smaller role in this. The same major parts of history with him still play out, but I didn't get a good sense of his character this time. Cromwell, on the other hand, is not a reluctant leader or in denial. He is in full tyrant mode. Acting. I thought the acting was very good. I especially thought John Sim as Edward Sexby gave a wonderful performance. Andrea Riseborough as Angelica Fanshawe gave a strong performance as our female lead. This Cromwell and King Charles stood out to me the least, possibly because they weren't the focus of the show. Oliver Cromwell was played by Dominic West, and King Charles I was played by Peter Capaldi. Production design and costuming. Some of the costumes were nice, but possibly because I've watched so many of these monarchy shows, I could tell it was not shot in the UK. That is not to say it was terrible, but it was noticeable. I missed a good castle, but that might just be me. Sex and nudity, violence and gore. Lots of waist-up sex and a little bit of some forced sexual encounters, but nothing graphic. No nudity at all. There is a lot of violence and gore in the form of hangings, shooting people, and a lot of bloody fights, but no big epic battles. Final opinion. Cromwell. If you are a fan of the classics, want to watch giant war battles, and are interested in an equal amount of perspective from both King Charles I and Cromwell, this would be my recommendation for you. If you want something a bit more modern, focused more on the people and Cromwell's perspective, and are more interested in the drama of a friendship being torn apart, To Kill a King is the way to go. If you don't mind less screen time with King Charles and Cromwell and instead want to watch the story of a strong woman during this time period filled with sex and drama, definitely The Devil's Mistress is the best choice for you. I hope this helped you out, or at least amused you. Please tell me which is your favorite or what you would recommend in the comments. Happy watching!